Good morning, everybody. I know this is an interesting way to get a lesson. You can hear my voice but not see my face. I know a lot of you are probably saying, oh, this works kind of nice. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you some more practice with drawing conclusions. But what I want to do is I want to give you some examples of what we would expect to have as a good written conclusion and statement that goes with the conclusion. And so you're going to do this on the worksheet that you now have in front of you. So the first thing that you're going to do when you're looking at a given is you choose the vocabulary word, or you see the vocabulary word, and you make sure that the vocabulary word that you see in the given is somehow explained. So this table right here is called a statement reason table, and we use it for proofs, and you're going to see this quite often. And this is where we kind of write paragraphs, but we write paragraphs in chunks. So in this particular example, it says ray BD bisects angle EBC. So the second that you read that, you need to recognize that the vocabulary word is angle bisector. And when you have a vocabulary word, you are automatically going to be able to come up with some sort of conclusion. The conclusion that you're going to come up with is based on the definition of angle bisector. So what I would do immediately, you see the angle bisector vocabulary word, you are going to write an angle bisector creates two equal angles. You have to rewrite or restate the definition of the angle bisector. If you have a vocabulary word, that vocabulary word is automatically going to be a reason in a proof table. Now you have to kind of focus on the picture. The picture says that BD, the ray, so that's right here, BD, the ray, bisects angle EBC. EBC is right here. I believe that in that, even though my marker is kind of covering up, they have this marked as angle 1 and this is angle 2. So what you can come up with is this statement that angle 1 must have the same measurement as angle 2. That's your statement, and you're basing that statement on the vocabulary word that an angle bisector creates two equal angles. You have to be able to justify why you're making that statement. I'm going to go ahead and erase what I have right here. As soon as you make a statement like that, you should be able to mark those two angles as being equal. Once you mark those two angles equal, then you're really done with that vocabulary word. A lot of times, though, after you're done with the vocabulary word, you can look at the picture and come up with a couple other scenarios, and you can write some statements based on the picture. So each one of the examples, you have a couple of boxes. The second or third box is, can you think of another conclusion that would be acceptable given the picture? If I look at this picture, you may notice that angle 2, which is right there, is vertical to angle 4, which is right here. There's a couple of vertical angles. I'm just trying to pick the ones that are kind of there, most obvious. So one thing that you might be able to come up with is that angle 2 and angle 4 also have the same measure. If you make a statement like that, even though you don't have a vocabulary word, you still have to justify why you're writing that. So the justification or the reason would be angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical angles. And we already know from our lessons way back when that vertical angles are equal. So you would say, and vertical angles are equal. So I want you to write out the sentences. I want you to make sure that you're very clear and justified with them. And as soon as you fill that in. Now, not everybody might have angle 2 equals angle 4. You might have something else there, as long as it's justified using the picture and or definitions. I'd like to do one more example with you. If you need to pause the video at this point to make sure that you have all these notes, feel free to do that. I'd like you to skip to number 5 now. Number 5 has a given, and it says AC and DF bisect each other at E. So the key word here, the vocabulary word, is bisect. We have to be able to recognize that this is a segment bisector. And so in this case, the key word or the vocabulary word is segment bisector, which means that our reason must have the definition of the segment bisector. So in the reason statement, you will write a segment bisector creates a midpoint, and in this case the midpoint is letter E, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in parentheses. So a segment bisector creates a midpoint E and 2 equal parts. If you have a vocabulary word, you need to restate the definition in the reason, and you write it as a sentence. A segment bisector creates a midpoint and 2 equal parts. Now let's go back to see what it says. It says that AC bisects DF, and it also says DF bisects AC. It's a vice versa because it says AC and DF bisect each other. So your statement is actually 2 things. If AC bisects DF, then that means that DE and EF are equal. And we write that and we mark that. It also says that DF bisects AC. So that means that AE and EC are also equal. Both use the same definition, segment bisector. So you can make 2 statements using the same reason. Again, if we take a look at this picture, you can come up with a bunch of conclusions. In this case, again, I might see that this angle right here, I'll call it angle 1, and this angle right here are angle 2, and those are vertical angles. So I might be able to come up with this. Angle 1 equals angle 2, and the reason is angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles, and vertical angles are equal. You should be able to come up with something from the picture, even if the vocabulary words are not there. So not everybody will have the same second box in their proofs. If you need to pause the video to make sure that you have all this, do that right now. Once you get these 2 notes, your job for the rest of the period is to finish 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7, and also continue working on the Regents Review Test 1 multiple choice. I miss your faces, and I will see you tomorrow.